Hi, this is Lee Lehman, and I want to talk to you today about medical astrology in the wake of my having published traditional medical astrology. Now, most of the time, people have learned more technical subjects in places like colleges and universities and so forth. And in this setting, it's very typical to have a textbook and have a series of lectures and then in-class exercises and things that the instructor then grades. And through that process, people learn a subject. It's hard to learn a subject simply from a textbook. And so I'm doing this video series to be, in the digital age, the lectures. And then if you want to do the whole idea of this traditional learning form, you can take my courses, and my courses will use these as the lectures along with the text and then give you the exercises. And that's where you practice it and take it up. So that's how these recordings will fit in. It will be very hard to learn medical astrology just from these recordings without the text. But hopefully what these will do is make it easier to use the text and learn more fully. So this introduction is meant to just kind of introduce you to the concept, introduce you to what medical astrology is, some basic concepts, and then we'll go ahead with the more specific lectures. So first, can you study medical astrology, say, 6 months after you started to learn astrology? Probably not if you really want to learn it, because medical astrology requires natal astrology, horary astrology, and electional astrology at a very minimum. Why? Well, on the natal level, you're studying the chart from the standpoint of disease patterns. How dominant is disease as a process throughout the life? How to look at the chart from the standpoint of stresses which can bring on disease? What kind of disease weaknesses and strengths are shown in the natal chart? And possibly most importantly, what can you do as general rules and lifestyle changes to make yourself somewhat less likely to develop as severe a disease or as much disease or disease as as late in life as possible. Okay, so that's the natal end. The horary end is, first of all, that whenever you come down with a disease, the interpretation of it is actually done through horary rules through a chart called the decumbiture. In electional, what you're doing is setting up a time, whether it's for surgery or to stop smoking or to go on a diet. So there's surgery electionals and non-surgery electionals. So that's another level of astrology you need to know and feel comfortable with. Now, those are the astrology pieces, but they're also the medical pieces. Medical astrology as this kind of cross-discipline developed within what in the book I'll refer to as the Hippocratic Clinic synthesis, which is a form of medicine that was first promulgated by Hippocrates' school in Greece in a few centuries BC, and then was taken up by Galen, the great commentator, and then used for centuries afterwards. Astrology fits very well into the system, although there were always practitioners who didn't use it. The modern medicine specifically rejected this style of medicine over 100 years ago. And in rejecting it, it also had already rejected astrology as being worth studying. So now we have a form of medicine that explicitly rejects astrology, even if you find individual doctors who will go along with it. So trying to get astrology into this system is a little more challenging. But we're also living in a global environment where there are things like traditional Chinese medicine that we also may want to link our astrology to, and that's also part of the picture. Before we finish this introduction, let me just bring up the issue that is a hot button in modern medicine, which is the issue of practicing without a license. We are not doing that, and here's why. First of all, historically, medicine and astrology were always different fields. What astrology brought was certain timing issues and certain other methodologies to medicine, but you could never cure somebody by astrology alone. That wasn't the goal. And so, from that standpoint, this isn't practicing medicine without a license, because there is no medicine here to practice. There's astrology that looks at health and disease, but that is not medicine. And it's very important that we are clear on the distinction, because ultimately what we are doing is talking to clients and talking to them about situations where they may need to go to a medical practitioner. And so we may be encouraging them to go to the right person to help them, but we are not helping them directly in a medical sense. Now, in these future videos, I will be taking up a lot of the very specific topics that are in traditional medical astrology and helping you to understand them better as we go along.